What's up, MFFLs? The trade deadline less than a month away on February 10th. So name a player that you would like to see the Dallas Mavericks trade for. I want to hear it from you guys right now in the comment section. The Mavs are hot, but is that sustainable? Let me know a player that you would like to trade for. You're watching Dallas Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Trade deadline fastly approaching, and the trade rumors continue to circulate across the NBA. And the latest one around your Dallas Mavericks is from Bleacher Report, mentioning the Mavs as a potential destination for one Dennis Schroder, who has been playing this season with the Boston Celtics and has been playing pretty darn well. You look at the numbers, 16 points per game, 4.5 dimes, shooting 44%, over 34% from three. Been playing some solid basketball, and if you remember, only signed for the $5.9 million mid-level exception, so his contract is very easily absorbed for a team that trades for him. He obviously passed on that huge extension with the Lakers during last season, had to settle for $5.9 million with the Celtics. Obviously, lost about $75 million in the process. But the point being here, the here and now, is Dallas or any other team, if they were to trade for Schroder, wouldn't have to give that much up in terms of salary compensation. You know, if he was making $20 million, it'd be a lot harder to trade for Dennis Schroder. But at $6 million, it's a lot easier to absorb that contract. And if you look at the point guard position for Dallas, obviously Luka and Jalen Brunson have been two of your top three players this season. But after that, it's a little thin. Trey, Burke, Ntilikina. Come playoff time, neither of those guys probably going to be heavy rotation players. So if you could get a guy like Dennis Schroder in there who could come off the bench and be your second-team point guard, that would clearly be an upgrade. You pair him up with Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off your bench. That's a nice backcourt with some of your other depth pieces as well, and I think it certainly would be an upgrade in that regard. So here's my trade idea that I cooked up for you guys. The salary works, and maybe it's enough to convince Boston. Dennis Schroder to Dallas for Sterling Brown, who has not played that well. Trey Burke, who, he's okay. 2 second-round picks, though. And sure, if you're Boston, you're like, oh, I'd rather have a first-round pick. Well, if you don't trade Schroder, though, you're probably not bringing him back. So a couple of seconds, some salary filler guys could work out. Expiring deals don't often go for first-round picks, especially for non-stars. And Dennis Schroder is not a star. He's a good player. He's a really good player, but he is not a superstar. So I think it's possible that you could get him for a pair of second-round picks before the NBA trade deadline. So we'll see what happens on that front. I want to know. Answer the question. Would you trade for Dennis Schroder? Type Y for yes, or you can type your N for no. Let us know what you guys think on this one down in the comments. Take advantage of this deal that we have going. 30% off this Dallas Mavericks hoodie at chatsports.com/Mavs hoodie. I'll be sure to put that link in the comments into the description. I think it's a pretty sweet hoodie, so go pick it up. It's cold as hell here in Dallas. I went on a walk on Saturday, walked about a mile, then I headed home because the wind chill was about 18 degrees. I said, not doing that. Wish I had this hoodie. Chatsports.com/Mavs hoodie. Pick it up, 30% off for a limited time only. Dallas Mavericks Today, continuing along here. How about John Collins trade rumors as they start to heat up? He, of course, signed that big extension with the Atlanta Hawks this past offseason. And if you guys remember here on Dallas Mavericks Today, we've talked about John Collins before. The Mavs have been linked to him. They have liked him for a very, very long time. Now, when Atlanta offers you 5 years and $125 million, you're obviously going to stay, but maybe, just maybe, things are starting to shift in Atlanta. The Hawks have actually not won a home game since the month of November. I don't know if you guys have looked at a calendar recently. It's January now. Here's what John Collins had to say to The Athletic. Quote, "Since I started conversations to get my contract last season, the trade convos have been a thing that I've gotten used to. I pledged my allegiance to the city of Atlanta. I never came in here once and pledged my allegiances elsewhere." So he's making it clear that that's where he wants to be, but he also understands that this comes with the territory. Good players get linked to trade rumors. That's just how this goes. This year he's averaging 17.5 points, 8 rebounds. I mean, he's shooting incredible, 54%, 44% from three. I'm a big fan of Collins, 6'10", stretch four. He can play some five. He can stretch the floor, shoot the three ball really well. He can score around the basket. Mid-range jumper is there. Decent enough defender as well. So here's another trade idea cooked up for you guys. John Collins and DeLon Wright come to Dallas. Hello, DeLon Wright. Welcome back. For Kristaps Porzingis and 2 first-round picks. Kind of a lot, but John Collins much more reliable than KP. Would you do it? Would you do this trade? And who wins this trade if it were to go down? Type DAL for Dallas. Type ATL for the Atlanta Hawks. It would certainly be a blockbuster. It would certainly be an interesting one. Let me know who would win this trade if it were to go down. Type DAL or you can type ATL. I don't really think the Hawks are going to give up on Collins less than a full season into his new contract. I mean, you saw the numbers. He's playing really, really well this year on the offensive end. I think him and Trey Burke stylistically can work out, although there's been some friction there in the past. I don't think this is going to happen, but I think he's a name to monitor during the trade deadline. Kind of have to wait and see what the Hawks end up doing. Buyer, seller, stand pat once February 10th rolls around, and that, of course, is when the trade deadline is. Mavs fans, be sure to hit that subscribe button because the more subscribers we get, the more videos we are able to do. So go ahead and sub today, youtube.com/MavsTV. That is the link to go to. That is the link to share with all of your fellow MFFLs. Go ahead and subscribe to Dallas Mavericks Today. All right, one more to go here. Teams inquiring about Dorian Finney Smith. Rental, final year of his contract, 3 years, $12 million. A couple years ago was one of the most team-friendly deals in the NBA. And a guy like Dorian Finney Smith is obviously a type of player that teams want. Why? Because he's an elite defender and he can shoot from 3. 10.5 points, 38% from 3. You see the growth there. He's gotten better and better offensively every year. He's always been a stud defensively. I think it's obviously a player that Dallas really likes, but it makes sense that teams would be vying for his services. Now, it's going to be hard for Dallas this offseason to keep Dorian Finney Smith and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson on his rookie contract, he's going to get paid. The guys, believe me when I say this, he might get north of $15 million a year because he's an excellent floor general, left-handed that can score, and he's a good defender as well. So, that's going to be tough. And Dorian Finney Smith making $4 million a year, he's at least going to double that. He might be making 10 plus too. Both expiring deals, both unrestricted. You don't have the bird rights. It's going to be hard to keep both of these players. So don't be shocked if the Mavs get a good offer for one of these guys, especially Dorian. They're at least going to listen, right? I mean, and that's what all good teams and all good GMs do. You never hang up that phone without listening to what teams have to say. So we'll see what happens. And I'll say this about Brunson, too. The way they structured the contract to not make sure he would hit free agency as a restricted free agent, big mistake. Big mistake by Dallas. They probably didn't think he would turn into this type of player. Well, now we're here and he's a legitimate top 3 player on your team. That's a problem. And now teams are able to offer more money potentially. So that's going to be an issue Nico Harrison is going to have to face in his first full offseason as this team's general manager. We'll see how that shakes out this summer. We'll see if an extension comes before then. And we know this about Mark Cuban. Doesn't like paying luxury tax. We'll see if that changes this year. They have not been in the tax in over a decade. Guess when the last time they were? Yeah, it's when they won a championship. So it's almost like paying big money pays off in the NBA. Possible destinations for Dorian: Indiana. Rick Carlisle obviously knows him very well. Brooklyn, that's Brooklyn, New York. Those are the exact type of teams that make sense. 3-and-D type of players, especially the Nets, a team that has title aspirations. You get a guy like Dorian Finney Smith that can start or come off the bench, play 25 to 30 minutes a game, knock down threes, and play defense. He's going to fit just about anywhere. What do you guys think? What would you do with Dorian Finney Smith? Would you trade him before the trade deadline? Type T for trade, type K for keep him. I'd prefer to keep him because the Mavs are hot, and I think maybe they could win a playoff series or two this year if things bounce their way. Get your votes in, and we'll see you next time here on Mavericks Today.